So yeah, Charles Van Morgan, and welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Learn more. So yeah, evidently Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube is gonna let us do a live broadcast of Charles Van Morgan Nightly News Live. It's NBC Nightly News, not a bad con, and unbridled. So we're not controlled by the mainstream media. We're not controlled by the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners, and we're not controlled by attorney ethics, because the ethics tell you can't speak against the judicial system. And the judicial system is crooked as hell, and they need people to speak against them. But if lawyers speak against them, they will take your law license. So you have to uphold the judicial system. Pretty much you have to uphold the corruption. Now, they have a means to complain against the judiciary, but you have to go through them to complain against them, which works out about like you think it would. Your complaint gets dismissed and you get in trouble for telling the truth. So that doesn't work, and lawyers know that, and they want their paycheck. They want to get their big dollars of insurance money. You know, the mandatory insurance all across Tennessee is not for any public safety or any financial accountability. It's so that lawyers can have a big bucket of money, because everybody's got to put in that big bucket of money for these lawyers. And when these lawyers sue, they get an undecent amount of money, because the bucket's real big, because they make laws to where everybody's got to pay into it, because lawyers are the ones that have these lobbyists that lobby the legislators and pay the legislators money to keep their bucket of money well filled, so that they can take a lot of money from you. So yeah, that's a rigged system, and I'm glad to see the administration nowadays going against some of these crooked judges and some of the crooked, dirty things that they do. But tonight on Unbridled News, we want to talk about the corrupt judiciary. So, okay, I don't know why this car stopped. You get your eyes full? Okay, yeah. Hello. But anyway, so yeah, the corrupt judiciary, and a lot of them under this administration are going to jail. But I want to talk about the people in these videos, like the civil rights attorney. I don't know if you've seen him, and also Southern Drawers Law. Isn't that funny? Southern. It's Southern Draw Law. I call him Southern Drawers Law because he is pretty disgusting. He says disgusting things, and he's not a very smart person. He's a lawyer, and he says he was a police officer and he was a prosecutor, and he brags on the justice system, which is an injustice system, because he's afraid of them. But I have more education than him, and I've been a police officer. I've never been a lawyer because I'm too honest to be a police officer. Excuse me, too honest to be a police officer too, and too honest to be an attorney, even though I've never been convicted of any crime, and they claim I'm not candid enough to be a lawyer. Although an attorney, which is a licensed lawyer, lawyer is what I am, an unlicensed attorney, but at the same time, the judge adjudicated that I'm not candid enough to be a lawyer, an attorney. One of the judges that adjudicated that was committing a felony and infamous crime, a crime of dishonesty, which is a deceitful crime, a crooked crime, which is crimes like that is why they don't let you be an attorney, which I've never committed a crime like that, but she did while she was adjudicating that I'm not candid. And being not candid, I am candid. That was just a cop-out, a way for them to blackball me. They didn't even prove I wasn't candid. Candor is a legal term in the legal system There are terms in the legal system that mean a different thing than they do just regular words. And lack of candor in the legal system, they have to prove, it just means you tell the truth, but you leave things out. In order for them to prove that you lack candor, they can't just say that you told something, but it was true, but you left things out, because everybody leaves things out when they're telling something. It's things that are insignificant, things they forgot about. But for them to adjudicate that I lack candor, which they adjudicated and then they didn't prove, they don't have to prove it. They're in power and they have a gun. They have to prove that you left something out of significance with the intent to deceive. They never prove that. So they just throw that on a judicial decision in order to get where they wanted to, which is my point in this. When you are talking about, and I see people here saying hi, and I appreciate that. I have no way of answering you right now, but when you adjudicate things, and these civil rights attorneys in Southern Georgia law, and they have some of them have like 4.5 million and over views on some of their channels. So I mention them to try to maybe if I critique them, they'll mention my name and I'll get a lot of views. So there's a rhyme and reason behind it. But I've got more education than them, and for them, I believe. I also have a master's of arts in sociology, so I know how things work and I know why they work the way they do. And also, I'm not a kid, I'm 60 years old. So in that long of life, you figure a few things out, and I have. So let me explain to you. Now, they critique police videos and go through the gram factors sometimes on whether or not the police have used excessive force. And the gram factors are a list of elements that are help to decide a case. And it's a case that was decided in Tennessee. It's stuff like the severity of the crime. Obviously, if it's a serious crime, officers can use a little more force. Like if somebody's murdered somebody, then it might take you're going to be given a lot of leeway in the amount of force you use. Whereas if it's like they had a tail light out and you stopped them, you can't use a lot of force on a tail light unless, of course, it escalates. And whether or not the person tries to flee and the threat they are to the officer and things like that, according to the judgment, whether or not the officer used too much force. And those things are all well and fine and good, but what they don't tell you is that in law school, and I'm sure they know this, they're just not telling you, the professors tell you, like on test, that they don't care, and this is kind of alarming if you just sit in a classroom, they don't care what side you come out on. They don't care if you side in favor of the police officer, let me show you, in favor of the police officer or in favor of the government. I'm trying to show you a hand sign. Or they don't care which side you come out on, which is kind of alarming. You're thinking as a moral, honest person, it matters which side you come out on, which it does, but not to lawyers. They don't care. And the courts, well, they care, but they won't tell you what they care about. But they don't care what outcome you come out with. What they care about, and what you don't get A or an F deciding for the government, deciding against them. They're not going to change your grade either way. What they base your grade on is that you go through the analysis, that you memorize the factors and put the facts as you see them with the gram factors. And then you decide whichever way you want to. So you can have whatever thought these lawyers come up with. They always, 99.9% of the time probably, they decide in favor of the defendant. Their defendant deserves millions of dollars because the officer used excessive force. That's not true in all those cases. It's not true. He says that the attorney for the civil rights attorney says that our rights don't end where your fear begins. Deal with it. But what he don't realize is, no, your rights end where a judge, where it be state, local, or federal, says they end. So you get over it. And he'll adjudicate them gram factors however he damn well pleases. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, I hate this for you, let me tell you, it's against you. It's for the government, for the officer, especially in this state of Tennessee. The gram factors don't matter. They'll go through their analysis and they'll couch it in terms of the government. The officer wins almost every time. Now, sometimes they win. The defendant wins if they've got a big name attorney that's got a lot of money and a lot of people behind them that can create a lot of public attention. But if you're just regular, a great American Tennessean, and you don't have a lot of money, even though you're still a great Tennessean, then you get a attorney, then you're probably not gonna win, because the outcome doesn't matter to them as long as they go through the analysis, and they're going to go through the analysis in favor of the way they see it. I'm just telling you, I have a JD, Doctor of Jurisprudence. I know how they do. I've taken their test. I've passed them. I passed their bar exam twice. So these critiques of police officers in these videos, and you can find hundreds all over the internet, and you can decide whichever way you want to. People don't even agree on some of the videos. The problem is bigger than that. The problem is in the judiciary. We need to vote the judiciary out of office and get judiciary, specifically in Tennessee, that will rule in favor of the Constitution, which most of the time is in your favor and against the crooked, dirty government that has power. I mean, they stay in power because they have corporations that fund them, and they decide whatever a corporation wants, and they will violate your rights. In this state, in this country, we have got a constitution that says it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you have 10 cents or $0, you have constitutional rights. But this government and these judges step all over that Constitution by misanalyzing and misstating, sometimes falsifying the facts. So you can listen to all those attorneys, and they're good. I like the civil rights attorney for the most part. He's usually right, but the outcome in the courts, whatever some dirty judge wants them to decide, and they'll decide whatever they want to. So at the beginning of the day, and I'm wrapping this up, at the beginning of the day, and you heard me right, I didn't say at the end of the day. You hear that a lot. At the end of the day, it's too late. At the end of the day, after you summarize everything, right now we're going to lose. We're going to lose. We lose every time because it don't start at the end of the day. And that's what I'm concerned about. At the beginning of the day, we need to contact all. Friends calling friends. Call your friends. Ask them to contact their friends. Contact all and ask them to contact all. And tell them about Power to You, the People movement. This is something we can do. And tell them to join the YouTube page, to subscribe to my Facebook account. And if they kick me off these accounts, remember my Drove page and also Truth Social. Remember the name, Charles Van Morgan. That's where you hear the truth, because I might be banned on some of these channels. I'm just telling you, it's not because of conspiracy theories. That's not a conspiracy theory that it doesn't matter which side these judges come out on as long as they analyze the facts and they analyze them in their favor. But we can contact all. And if you lose me on these channels, remember my name, Morgan, Charles Van Morgan, for Power to You, the People movement. Not the politicians or the corporations or these crooked judges. And we need to vote them out of office. I'll call them out by name when it gets closer to election time. Right now, everyone in the Tennessee Supreme Court, I think there's one election coming up in 2026, vote no for retention. Send them a message. We the people in charge. We don't care how much money the corporations have. Money can't vote. It can buy votes, but there's more of us than there is you all. And we can get rid of these judges and have a more just system where it doesn't matter how much money you have in your pocket. You're a person and you count and your vote counts. You can vote stone cold broke and make a difference. And you have friends and you can call them. So remember, at the beginning of the day, so that we can have a correct result at the end of the day, because we're going to vote them out, is to call your friends. Power to You, the People movement with Charles Van Morgan. Thank you all. We can make a difference. God bless you all. God loves you, and I do too. Until next time, Unbridled News. This is an edition. I hope this worked on YouTube. We'll see. God bless y'all, and have a great night.